Hoe gaat het? Dit is je jonge Tom en het is Koningsdag, mijn machers. Je weet wat dat betekent. Today we are looking at Striker Orcust. We've got 3 Max C, 1 Ash, 1 Nibiru, that is the Master Duel tax, of course. We've got 2 copies of Symbol Skeleton for the Orcust engine, 1 Armageddon Knight, and 3 Dark Greffer. Those are your starters. 1 Himmelsjäger As Ray, 1 Harpor, since it is limited, along with 1 Girsu. And then for the rest of the Orcust engine, 2 Nightmare, 2 World Wand. Normally I play 1 in most variants, but this one usually tends to drag out games just a little bit longer, so sometimes you need a second one. So I'm playing 2 in this variant. For the spells, just power 1-ofs. Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster, Monster Reborn, Foolish Burial, Instant Fusion for the Winda, Foolish Burial Goods, Lightning Storm. You could play 3 Lightning Storm instead of the 1 Lightning Storm, 1 Raigeki, 1 Feather Duster. But I believe I only have 1 Lightning Storm. Yeah. So, you know, whatever you want to do there. The Foolish Burial Goods is funny. Normally you just use it to set up Sky Striker plays, you know, you get it to above the 3 spells engrave threshold. But you can use this to send a copy of Crescendo to the graveyard to search an Orcust monster. That is very funny, and sometimes you have to do it. But yeah, that's why that's in here. 2 Engage, of course, 1 Afterburners pops monsters, 1 Jamming Waves pops spells. 2 Return, since this is more of a slow variant, you know, more control-y. You want to play this as opposed to combo variants of Orcust, where typically you don't play this or you play it at 1. The Lightning Storm, as I said earlier, I've got 1 Ares Zero. It's just a good card. 1 Babel. 1 Hornet Drones. This is probably the best, you know, starter that you can open, really, this or Engage, because it, you know, you just pretend that you're playing Sky Striker, and then your opponent gets somewhat confused when next turn it looks like you're just playing Orcust. And then of course 2 Widow Anchor, the card's busted. Just some generic traps here. I've got 1 Judgment, 1 Warning. You could do 2 Judgment, could play a different generic trap in this spot, you know. I've seen some people play, you know, Torrential Tribute, stuff like that. And then 2 Crescendo. Playing 2 instead of 1 because this is, again, a little bit more of a control-based variant here. For the extra deck, we've got 1 Winda, just because it's great. You can instant fusion it out. It's just fantastic, and of course, Dingirsu will protect it, not allowing instant fusion to destroy it. So, speaking of which, we've got the Dingus himself, Dingirsu, Orcust of the Evening Star, 2 copies of that, 1 Link Spider for Nibiru, I suppose, 1 Kagari, 1 Shizuku, those are for your Sky Striker engine. Nightmare Phoenix, just a generic Link monster. Galatea, best card in the deck. Barricade Board blocker, just because a lot of times you have an Orcust in hand that you need to put into the graveyard. 1 Verte. This doesn't come up as often as it would in, you know, say a more combo-oriented variant such as Scrap. But you do still use this quite a bit to, you know, get your instant fusion out of the deck and summon a Winda. You do need to have the necessary materials to make this on top of a Dingirsu. And since this isn't a combo variant, that happens less frequently, but it's still, I believe, is worth the 2 extra deck slots. 1 Nightmare Unicorn here, just another good generic removal tool. 1 Longirsu, speaking of removal tools. 1 Selene, you can use this to climb up into like an access code talker. You can use this to bring a Winda back from the graveyard. Just a good card. 1 Orcustrion. Yeah, people don't really play this because it's a lot to put into a Link 4 monster. But it's It's like a really bad version of Forbidden Droplet or something like that. I don't know. It comes up sometimes and it is pretty funny, but really it's not that bad. 3k attack, it negates effects, brings attacks down to 0. It's not as useful in most situations as Access Code Doc or the other Link 4 would be, but believe it or not, Orcustrion does actually come up. So that's going to be it for the deck profile. Let's just go ahead and jump into a game to see how it goes. Alright, so jumping into the game here. This is a interesting hand. Hard drew the Babel and 2 Orcust, but it's fine. We've got the Greffer. We're going first. Pitch the Nightmare to summon the Greffer, then pitch the Orcust Harp Horror, but then I get Max Seed. So resolving the effect, I'll just bin a World Wand. I'll activate the Babel since I already had it in hand, and I'll just pass here. I dare them to kill me. Oh, and they're playing Sky Striker, so no, they're not going to kill me. They engage into an Area 0 here, and then they activate the Area 0, summon the Ray that they had in hand, and then they do the whole Gamer Nene thing where they target the Ray but then dodge the Ray out anyway since it's probably going to get sent to the grave. So they get a Kagari here. The Area 0 will resolve and it will not whiff. They find a copy of Afterburners. I would have taken the multi-roll, but whatever. They add back the Engage, okay. Afterburners the Greffer. I'm going to go ahead and chain Harp Horror to that. I want to put something in attack position to try to be funny here. Yeah, but they have the Ash, so whatever. Not like they were going to attack into a monster anyway and fall for the whole Nightmare trick. They're probably just going to attack directly with Hayate, as they have summoned right here. They set 1 card, attack directly for 1500, and then they send a multi-roll to grave for some reason. Not entirely sure what that was about, but here's the Shizuku. Go to end phase and grab something. I'm going to go ahead and Nightmare since I've already taken the damage. I just want to get a Symbol Skeleton into the grave. Shizuku's going to add another Engage. Oh boy. So, I draw Max C just a little bit too late. Not going to be any use now. I'll go ahead and use World Wand here. They chain Shark Cannon, even though it banishes itself for cost, so all they can hit is the Harp Horror here. Or not the Harp Horror, the Symbol Skeleton. So I'll summon the Harp Horror. Normal summon the Max C. Unfortunately, kind of had to do that. And I'll get out a Galatea here. I already have Babel on the field, so this is the point where I just start getting Crescendo. I'm going to put the World Wand back in the deck, set the Crescendo, and now I can use Harp Horror in the grave to get Girsu out. Girsu can send another to grave. I'll send the Nightmare. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Link 3 into Long Girsu, who is removal. I'll go ahead and put him in Shizuku's link point, so I can send the Shizuku to the graveyard by putting back the Harp Horror and the Symbol Skeleton. They will activate Ray here. Okay, now I make Dingirsu on top of the Long Girsu. And as this doesn't target or require the monster to be linked, if they try to tag out with Ray, well, it doesn't really matter because the effect resolves afterwards. They get out the Kaina, and I just send it to the graveyard. Cool. Now I'll Nightmare Dingirsu, give it another 300. I'll get another Symbol Skeleton. Would have liked to use the one in graveyard earlier, but they Shark Cannoned, so whatever. I summon the Galatea back. We go 18 and 29 indirectly. That'll leave them at 3,300 life points, and I have a Crescendo up. Let's see what they can do. Engage. Okay, we know that they have 2 Engage in hand. I'm going to let this one resolve. I'm just going to let them use the Engages. They're not getting them back after this. They've already used Kagari. So it's fine. Here's the second Engage. Alright, that's fine. They get the Jamming Waves. Cool. Draw a card. Whatever. Raigeki. Okay. Dingirsu Protect. Alright. Jamming Waves. I'll just go ahead and negate that. since they forced my hand there. Alright. Here comes the Ray, and they have a Rose in hand. Alright, they're going to use Area 0, and they will dodge the Ray. Alright, so they go into a Hayate here. Looks like they're wanting to attack directly again. And they do find a copy of Afterburners here off of the field spell. So they can use the Afterburners to get rid of something. And they can also go into Zeke. Okay, so they'll be doing a little bit of damage, but I really doubt they have the ability to kill me here. They will Zeke the Galatea, and then Afterburners the Babel and the Dingirsu, but it's fine. I don't really care. They get rid of their own field spell in order to get a Ray out, but they've already used its effect this turn, so they can't tag out for more damage in the battle phase. That's going to be a Shizuku, okay. At end phase they will search, and I imagine they will get a Widow Anchor, yes. So let's see what we find off the top here. Engage, nice. I'll go ahead and activate that. They have an Ash. Okay. Fine. I'll use Crescendo here. So I can grab an Orcust to hand, and then I can use Orchestrated Return to send it to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. So we should be able to do something here. I'll grab a Harpour, as that is the best option. Okay, return. Discard the Harpour, draw 2 cards, and I got the Engage back. Never punished. Okay, I'll grab a Widow Anchor here, because that's the funniest. Widow Anchor, I'll still Zeke. It's a Link 2 monster after all. I'll banish the Harpour, summon a Nightmare, okay? I will have to normal summon Max C again. I mean, it just keeps coming into my hand too late. And what do you know, we make Orcustrion. So, I'm going to attempt to use this to turn Shizuku's attack to 0 and negate its effects, which would let me get a lot of damage in. They have effect failure. Fine. I can just make Dingirsu. So, I would have liked to do this in the opposite order, like I did previously, and go Longirsu into Dingirsu. But I wasn't thinking about that in time, so I just go ahead and Dingirsu the Shizuku away. They get the Ray back. Okay, I can Nightmare the Dingirsu to get a Symbol Skeleton, and Symbol Skeleton can bring back the Dingirsu. Unfortunately, I can't actually get the Ray at link point, so I'll just have to attack over it. I'll go ahead and trade out the Feather Duster for Babel. They're not going to have, you know, a whole lot of back row at this point anyway, and they really haven't the entire game, which is strange for a Sky Striker deck. But they tag into a Shizuku to take less damage. I get them down to 200, and then Zeke returns the Galatea, and I set the Solemn Judgment here. They're going to activate the Widow Anchor that I know that they have. I will activate Solemn Judgment. Let's see what the last card in their hand is. Must not be anything, because they surrender. Alright, so if you enjoyed that replay, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe for future content, and comment in the comment section below whether or not you own an ultimate rare copy of Galatea. And also your house address, and if there's any time slots where nobody's there, what brand lock you have on your door, if you have any dogs that might bite intruders, just that kind of thing, just leave that in the comments. Anyway, see you next week.